Hi, Crosswatchers for Gemini. Welcome to your October 2019 cross-watching video. If you're a Gemini and you're watching, keep in mind, my dears, that these are still general readings. They may or may not resonate. Plus, your person may not be watching tarot readings. And even if they are, your person may not be on my channel. So that's a factor as well. This is geared towards cross-watchers, asking for Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael to come in to bring accurate truth and to bring guidance for cross-watchers who are, watching for their Gemini. What is going to be in the best and highest good of all involved to know at this time? What will be beneficial? What will be constructive? What will be healing? So we're asking for that kind of information to come in at this time. So let's see what's going on, Crosswatcher. Let's see what messages are coming in for those dealing with a Gemini for the month of October 2019. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's from the Annie movie or what. I'm hearing that I Won't Grow Up. I don't know. It's a really old song. I don't know if some of you cross-watchers are feeling that way, that you don't want to grow up. I don't know if you're dealing with a Gemini who doesn't want to grow up, but we'll see what the reading has to say. All right, so sure enough here, the kind of energy overall for October, we've got the 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords is very much when you're feeling stuck in a situation and you're feeling like you can't get out of it, or you're feeling a little bit like needing to be rescued. And maybe your Gemini is in that energy in October. They might be feeling like, they've bitten off more than they can chew, or they're kind of in a situation where things are feeling very frustrating. Now, I can say I do recall Gemini's weekly forecast for the last week of September, and I know that a lot of them were going to be feeling this new moon in Libra kind of heavy. And new moons are good. New moons are usually about creating new energy. It's the full moon where we get emotional. It's the full moon where we release. But this Libra new moon was going to be bringing a lot of people into their brain, into their mind. And, like planning and thinking and things of that nature. And Gemini is already very active mentally. So as this new moon energy came in and they're thinking about what they want to change about their life, and they're thinking about what they want to bring in and how they want to improve, 8 of Swords is telling us they might have begun feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or they might have begun feeling like, wow, there's so much I need to do. How am I going to make it happen? So your Gemini might be kind of hard on themselves right now. So Crosswatcher, if you're the tough love kind of person, and you're coming in like, get it together, Gemini. You're not getting any younger. What are you doing with your life? Like, that's going to make them go into 8 of Swords even more. Like, they can't handle that right now. Like, they're feeling overwhelmed. They don't know how to move forward. Unfortunately, with 8 of Swords, it's also one of those energies where, like, that person has to wake up. And that person has to see and realize that, hey, you know what? I'm not as stuck as I think I am. Because that's the whole thing with 8 of Swords when you look at the card. That little bandage that's wrapped around her, I'm calling it a bandage. I think it's supposed to be like a cord or something, but it looks like a cloth. It's not that tight. She can very clearly move her arm, she'd be out of there. Then she can pull the blindfold off her head, and then she can see, oh wow, all right, there's not that many swords around me, and this water that is nearby, it's pretty shallow. It's more like a puddle. I can totally step over this. I can totally, walk out of here, right? But she has to take the steps. When we're waiting for somebody to come in and do it for us, we're very vulnerable. And you, Crosswatcher, might be very tempted. You want to go in there and you want to rip the blindfold off their head and say, look, for God's sake. But it's not going to work that way. Gemini has to kind of wake up on their own, and they need to start taking steps on their own. I will say this. I'm feeling a sense that Crosswatchers, some of you are feeling very frustrated with your Gemini in October. So let's see what other kind of information might be coming in. Yep, we've got the Five of Cups. So Five of Cups comes in when there may be some disappointments, or things are not going to plan, or things are not going how you had hoped. I'm feeling something is happening where there's a financial disappointment and Gemini is feeling like they've let you down. So like, say you all have like a long distance relationship and they were supposed to, you know, make a trip out and see, or they were gonna like treat you out, like get you a trip and treat you out to see them or something, or say you all have been dating and you've been working towards you know, like saving money to have a wedding or something, and maybe something was supposed to happen in October, or you all had some kind of a goal in October and they may be falling short of it. That is not the best of news. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here. What you need to keep in mind about the Five of Cups is that, you know, just like you see in the picture, this guy's pretty sad. He's bummed out. He's got 5 cups and 3 of them have spilled over. He's not happy about it. But he's completely and totally forgetting about the fact that he still has 2 full cups, right? And, you know, it's disappointing. It's annoying that the other 3 tipped over. But he can pick them up. He can clean them off and he can fill them up again. And Crosswatcher, that's the attitude that you're going to have, or that you're going to have to take if you're going to make this relationship work out. Especially since you are dealing with a Gemini that, like, they kind of need to wake up. Some of you anyway are dealing with Gemini that kind of has to, like, wake up. And so even though there's a disappointment, understand and know your Gemini is also disappointed. And if they didn't care about you, if they didn't want to be with you, they wouldn't be disappointed. So the fact that they're disappointed, you know, like, they're still in it. They're still wanting to make it work. And so I do feel that at some point, they're coming out of the Eight of Swords and they're opening up and they're talking to you, Crosswatcher, and they're letting you know how they feel like they've let you down, or they're letting you know how they feel like they messed up, or how they feel stuck in life, or they don't know how to move forward. And that, Crosswatcher, is going to be your cue to where you can come in and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing it this way, or trying this, or trying that? I do feel some of you might be looking to do something in terms of, like, if you are together, like, say it's not long distance, you all have been together for a while, you may be going and seeking help, like, outside of the relationship, like, to come in and help you guys. So, you know, maybe you're going to, like, a couples counseling, or if these issues are financial, maybe you all are going to some, like, financial advisor together, or like a debt consolidation, or something like that. Or maybe, like, you're going back to church, or you're going, like, doing something through the church for, like, counseling or therapy, or helping with communication. But I feel something is happening with your Gemini where, like, you're frustrated too, like, you're throwing up your hands, like, I don't know how to get through to this person. But you're realizing and seeing that you both want this to work. So you may be going together and, like, getting help from outside the relationship. And whatever it is, I feel it has to do with getting organized and planning. Because I don't think you all, or at least I don't get a feeling or a vibe of, like, difficulties in communication. I think it's difficulties in, like, just making things happen, or, you know, like, you know, keeping momentum or keeping motivation, or things like that seem to be a challenge, or that's the energy that I'm getting around it. Next, we have the Nine of Swords. Crosswatcher, don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. I know these aren't, like, the happiest of cards so far, but I have a feeling they're going to pick up. I have a feeling they're going to get better. So let's give the reading a chance and see what's going to happen with our next 2 cards. But the present one right now, before we get to the next 2, we have Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is not a bad card, okay? I mean, and I don't like to label cards bad and good, but people see Nine of Swords and they get scared because it's this lady and she's like got her hands in her face and she's like, you know, up at night, and it doesn't look super happy. But I feel this is coming in to help you understand your Gemini better. I told you all that your Gemini is probably very overwhelmed with all of the things they're thinking about in their head that they have to fix, or they have to get together, or things they need to do about their life, and, you know, having to grow up and adulting and all that stuff. And so Nine of Swords is saying your Gemini might have a lot of anxiety. Okay, Nine of Swords is a card of anxiety, like the kind of anxiety that keeps you up at night. Nine of Swords is associated with insomnia, you know, judgment of self, like judging yourself, and you know, like, oh, I'm terrible and nobody likes me and I'm messing everything up. And it's like that kind of energy, like someone who's being very hard on themselves, someone who's very stressed out, someone who's like having trouble sleeping. It also could be nightmares. So there could be bad dreams that they're having, or bad dreams that are coming up. So I think you need to be super duper patient with your Gemini in October, because they're, you know, at least those of you who are gravitating towards this reading, you know, for some of you, this might not be for all Geminis in the planet, but it's for a good number of you. They're going through a hard time, and they're gonna need your patience. And I think it's gonna be for you too, Crosswatcher, because you might be feeling frustrated because so much of this is out of your control. And that's what Nine of Swords is about. It's like when you're staying up at night and you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You're thinking about all the things that might happen. And your fears may be very logical. You know, I always say this with Nine of Swords. You may be worried about very logical things. You're not worried about stupid things. You're not saying, oh my God, what if I'm walking down the street and I get bit by a shark? Obviously, that could never happen. It's not scientifically possible. That's a scenario that would never occur. You may have very rational, realistic fears that could happen, right? You could be afraid, what if I get fired? What if Gemini gets fired? What if we break up? What if this happens? What if that happens? Are those things possible? Yes. But what Nine of Swords says is that a lot of the things that you're worried about might not happen at all. They might not happen. Even though you're worried about possible things, it's possible they're not going to happen. So what you need to do when you see Nine of Swords is do whatever is in your power to help the situation. Do whatever you can on your end. What is not in your hands and what you have no control over, you have to hand that over to your higher power, whatever your higher power may be. You need to give that to your higher power and say, you know, dear higher power, here's all the things I'm freaking out about. Here's all the things I'm worried about. I don't know how to fix it. I don't have control over it. Thank you for taking care of it for me. And you're going to have to try to encourage your Gemini to do the same. Remind them that at the end of the day, all that you can do is your best. And outside of that, the rest you have to surrender. So if you all can keep this in mind, it will take a lot of stress and pressure off of the relationship. Also, because Gemini seems to have really big decisions to make right now, and they're super stressed out, Nine of Swords is also telling you, look, you're not resting, you're not getting enough rest, and you're not going to be able to think clearly. You don't want to make a big decision when you're tired, because when you're tired, you're going to be more emotional. You're not going to be thinking logically. It's not a good energy to make big decisions. So you might need to remind your Gemini that, look, yes, you got a lot to think about. Yes, we have some big decisions to make, but you need to focus on resting. You need to focus on taking care of yourself. And then we can look at these things later. We can figure these things out later. But nobody makes a good decision when they're tired and emotional and exhausted. It's not a good time to make decisions. So that's going to be important to adjust. Next here we have the High Priestess. And so the High Priestess is a major arcana card. Those of you, I can feel the energy already. I know it's a general reading, but I can feel the energy already. Oh, wow. So those of you who are familiar with tarot, or those of you who are more on a spiritual path, you guys are just seeing this card and you already know what's up and you're like, I knew it. High Priestess, okay, again, it's Major Arcana. So Major Arcana means that this is going to be a big crossroads, a big shift, a big lesson. And for me in my readings, you guys hear me say it all the time. If I get a Major Arcana in a love reading or between two people, it tells me past life connection, soul connection, you all have a soul contract. You've met in this lifetime because you've agreed to meet to work on a specific issue or situation. So, High Priestess is going to be someone who's very, very, like in tune with themselves. Okay, they're very much on a spiritual path. They're very much connected with their higher self. They may be very, very spiritual, but maybe not necessarily in a conventional or traditional way. And so with the High Priestess, the chakras open up, they align, all kinds of things are happening. For some of you, your Gemini is going through that process and coming into the High Priestess energy. However, I feel for the majority of you Crosswatchers, 99% of you, you are the High Priestess and you know that. And that's why I was giggling when it came up and I said I felt the energy. I can feel you guys, Crosswatcher. I can feel you guys. So those of you who know what the High Priestess is, you know you're in that energy and you know what you're in for. The thing with the High Priestess is when you're in that High Priestess energy, you will attract a lot of attention and you will attract a lot of people that need healing, okay? You will attract people that want to be with you romantically or physically because there's something about your energy that they can't put their finger on what it is, but something about being near you feels good. Something about being around you is very soothing, healing, like it fills them up, right? And you clearly are dealing, Crosswatcher, with a Gemini who's going through some stuff. You clearly are dealing with a Gemini who's not aligned with their higher self. And if you're a Gemini watching, don't get mad at me, because if you're aligned with your higher self, then obviously this doesn't apply to you. You don't have to get mad at me. But you're dealing with someone who needs that healing. You're dealing with someone who maybe has lost their way or has they're having a hard time making their spiritual connection, and they're seeing you as source. They're seeing you as like a channel of healing. And so what happens when you're in the High Priestess energy, like they can become a little obsessed with you, and they can become very obsessed about like being physical with you, like having sex with you, because it's a different connection. When somebody is physically intimate with someone who's in the High Priestess energy, it's very intense. And it is healing. It's healing for them. But Crosswatcher, this is where you need to be cautious, because this is when your energy begins depleting. You begin giving so much of yourself energetically, and your heart may really go out to them, and you may be really wanting to heal them and help them. But you have to remind yourself that at the end of the day, they have to do the work themselves, right? You can be a space holder in the sense that you're creating a safe atmosphere for them, or a safe place for them, like to come to you, to talk about things, to work things out, to like share that emotional and physical intimacy. But you have to surrender the outcome. You have to surrender the outcome to your higher power. You have to entrust that this person's guardian angels will come in and do what they need to do. And you're not responsible for the decisions that they make. You have to respect this person's free will. So it's going to be important for you, Crosswatcher, especially those of you who are more spiritual, and more those of you who are in like the healing energies and the healing path and the intuitive path. You are going to need to practice what I call that spiritual hygiene, Take your sea salt baths, do your prayers, do your meditation, do your cord cutting with this person, sage yourself, incense, whatever you need, crystals. You need to keep your energy up. And you need to make sure that you still have energetic boundaries. Be there for this person, but have your energetic boundaries to where you're able to, keep from being completely and totally, depleted, like, stripped bare energetically, because that can happen when you're the High Priestess. So keep that in mind. Also, this person might be a little obsessed with you. This person might not be wanting to let you go. But when you're in the High Priestess energy, you know that when you're dealing with someone who's needs healing or who's still on the path of trying to wake up, like they might not move things forward with you because they don't know how to do that. Chances are they're kind of in a different energy, and they might not know how to bring you into their world, and they might not know how to feel comfortable in your world. So I always give the example, some of you have already heard it and you're sick of hearing it, but maybe you haven't heard it, of like the sailor out at sea that spots a mermaid and falls in love with her. He might be able to, you know, drop that smaller boat down from the big ship. He might be able to hop in. He may be able to row up fast enough to catch up to that mermaid. But once he's there, what does he do? Does he throw an anchor and stay out at sea for the rest of his life to be near her? Does he scoop her up, take her back to land, throw her in a giant fish tank and hope she's happy there? Like, how do you make that work, right? And High Priestess, you might see, Crosswatcher, I called you High Priestess. Crosswatcher, you might see how it can be done, but they need to see it. And if you're trying to convince them, and if you're trying to tell them, here's how it can work, they're gonna pull back. So you're gonna have to be patient, and you're gonna have to let them figure it out. You're gonna have to let them wake up. All you can do is be there, right? And surrender the outcome is the best advice that I can give you. And then sure enough, your outcome here is Queen of Pentacles. So Queen of Pentacles, this is good. This is a good card to have come up in love, because this is about the home. This is about getting settled. This is about getting cozy. And we were talking about the fact of, you know, this person not knowing how to like make a life with you or make a home with you. But at some point, you know, they're realizing, or they're coming into this energy, they're doing what they need to do. They're doing their work to make this happen. And they're seeing ways in which, you know, you are a home, or you are a safe or secure place for them. You know, Queen of Pentacles for me is very much about building a home. Like when I see Queen of Pentacles, this is a home life. This is, you know, getting settled in, a sense of like creating a sense of sanctuary, creating a sense of like having your space. Very, very much like a very steady, stable, happy, secure, satisfying home life. Okay, so I do feel it's gonna get there, but it's gonna be a journey, right? And to be honest, these are very big energies, so it might not happen all in October, but October is definitely gonna be a part of the journey. And at some point, you know, if you decide you want to stick it out, and if you can be patient with your Gemini, then at some point you could very much be, you know, getting to that point. Something about it, though, does make me feel, and this is something for you to consider, something about it does make me feel like it could be more like discussion at some point down the line of moving in together as opposed to getting married. And I don't always get that with that card. Or with this card, but for some reason I'm feeling that it might be more so moving in together as opposed to like a legal marriage. And if that's an issue for you, that's something for you to consider. For those of you that you're already married to this Gemini, or you're already living with this Gemini, then Queen of Pentacles is saying that you're going to be able to strengthen the relationship, or you're going to be able to help the Gemini simply by creating a comfortable environment. So pay attention to what the home environment is like, right? You know, make it warm, make it inviting, make it a pleasant place to be. And this is going to help them get that rest. This is going to help them get that mental clarity. This is going to help them want to be around and talk to you and open up and, you know, all of that stuff. So just some things to think about, my darlings. Be sure that you watch your love sign. Your love reading for your sign. The love readings are linked in the description of the video. You might want to watch your Gemini's Venus cross-watching video and love video if you know their Venus. It can be helpful. It can maybe bring like a few more pieces to the puzzle. And you might need a private reading because these are general. So if you would like a private reading, go ahead and click on the Calendly link in the description of the video. Everything you need to know about scheduling is there. What kind of readings I offer, how much they cost, the next available. It's all there. You can go ahead and schedule online. I'm more than happy to read for you. And don't forget to watch your weekly forecasts, guys. I know love is important, but sometimes we get so caught up in, love that we completely forget about ourselves and we abandon ourselves. And I don't want you to do that. So be sure to watch your weekly forecast where I discuss, finances, spirituality, healing, family, whatever comes up. We talk about it in the weeklies. So be sure to check that out as well. I thank you so much for watching, sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, and I hope you have a fabulous October.